Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another Sporting160EN podcast. This is podcast number 40. I think this is going to be a fairly lighthearted fucking podcast for the first time in months. But anyways, let me get straight to the panel. Oh crap, wait. There you go. Sorry. Let me get straight to the panel. Starting off with Steph. Steph, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing great. We won today against our old-time rival, Benfica, so I'm doing really great.
Good to hear. Good to hear. And of course, we're also here with Chris. Chris, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. Typically I try to, analyze everything as objectively and as I can. Try to analyze everything the best I can. Use logic in analyzing things, but on today's, it's tough to be a completely logical and not just be a reactionary buffoon because this was awesome, and we don't get too many of these, especially this season. So feels good, feels really good.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. All right. Before we get into the big talking point, which was our 1-0 win against Benfica today, we're gonna quickly discuss the Chaves game that happened over the weekend, where we went to Chaves, went to Trás-os-Montes, and beat them 3-1. Starting 11 was as followed. We had Renan Ribeiro in net. We had Stefan Ristovski, Coates, Mathieu, Borja in defense. Our midfield was Goudelli, Bruno Fernandes, and Wendell. Acuna and Rafinha on the wings, with Luis Felipe up front, actually scoring his first 2 goals for Sporting. Chris, I'll start off with you first. What did you think of the game, bro?
I definitely thought it was a good start to the game. We came out and kind of bossed them, and I thought that the early goal was well deserved for sure. It was good to see Felipe scores first goal for us. Definitely his best game, not just because he scored 2 goals, obviously, but I thought he played well. And then in the second half, Chaves immediately went down to 10 men. And then, funny enough, they actually grew into the game after that. And they were able to get a goal. I wouldn't say that they necessarily earned it, but they definitely played much better in that window between like the 50th and 65th minute once they got that goal. And then it was kind of all Sporting from the rest of the game. I definitely think that we deserved the result. It seemed like one of those games where it's like, is this really going to happen? They're going to have one shot and one goal, and we're going to tie this 1-1. But we had a Bruno Fernandes bomba. The guy's been unbelievable this season. Hopefully, with each goal he scores, add another 5 mil to the price tag, because at this point he's going to be literally irreplaceable. Probably low key offsides by Acuna on the bounce back after the corner kick. I didn't even fully realize that. They didn't even show it during the game. I guess the VAR completely missed it too. I didn't even notice it until afterwards. So not to take anything away from the finish, because it was incredible, but it probably shouldn't have counted. But nonetheless, then their goalie got hurt. He was down for like 10 minutes. It wasted so much time. And I was like, at first I was like, because at that point it was still 1-1, and I was like, all right, at least we're gonna have a shit ton of stoppage time. But then by the end of it, after the Ristovski VAR BS and their Chaves player getting the red card changed, plus him being down for so long, there was like 12 minutes of added time, and I was like, we're up 2-1. The last thing we want right now is 12 minutes of stoppage time. But they really didn't create much. The times that they felt threatening, they weren't really creating chances. They were just like generally like in our half, but they weren't super threatening. Like, I didn't feel like they were, about to score or anything, but it's just nerve-wracking because all it takes obviously is one chance. And then Philippe got a second goal kind of in garbage time there on the break, kind of sealed it for us. So in the end, it's a good result. Obviously, we needed 3 points, but I got dropped points. We move up into third. It had its sketchy moments, obviously, like any road game this season, but deserved winners.
Yeah, agreed. Like every road game, really. Steph, I'll pass it off to you. What did you think of the Shop Sporting game, bro?
Well, I feel the same way as Chris just mentioned. We started strong, and then we scored the goal, and I really thought we had the game under control, at least in the first half. And then here comes the second half. Shops with the man down, I thought, hey, we're going to seal this, score another goal and wrap it up. But no, we for some reason we dropped the lines and we let Shops grow into the game, and they tied the game again. It's something I don't get it. When we up at one man, we let Shops into the game. Then luckily, when you have a world-class player like Bruno Fernandes, that amazing goal of Acuna cross, a lucky bounce back, he got back, and then first touch. I mean, that was a great volley.
Yeah, it was
unbelievable. I mean, he didn't even try to stop it with his chest. He just bang, and I was like, wow. Amazing. Even the goalie was like, "Pregado no chão." He didn't have a chance. He couldn't believe it. He was like, "Whoa, what kind of kick was that?" So he saved the day, and then it was Felipe's game, and he scored the second time to really seal the game. But like Chris said, all it takes in close games like that is a cross, an indirect kick, or a direct kick, or corner of a corner, and bang, and they tie the game. But luckily, we got the 3 points. But I just don't get it that why when we winning by 1 up, we have the tendency of dropping the lines. Like today against, and we'll talk about Benfica, but I'm glad that we scored towards the end because we have the tendency of scoring 1 goal and dropping the lines, and then it's suffering until the end, like it was the last 15 minutes against Benfica. But against Shops, to wrap it up, we deserved to win. We had more chances of goal than Shops. And the 3 points are very important because we took advantage of Braga losing against Porto. And now we regained the 3rd place. Nothing for nothing, but it does feel better to be in 3rd place than 4th place. So we're still kind of far from the 2nd place, which is also the 1st place, 8 points. But we still have 7 games left, and 7 times 3 is 21 points. So you never know. I'm not being optimistic, but I'm not being pessimist. I'm just like in between. I still think we have a shot, but it's a long shot, of course. But I'm very content that we won the 3 points, and we didn't slip like prior years when Braga loses. We lose too. So this time we took advantage. So congrats to the whole team, and that's it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. Not even prior years. I mean, prior weeks. Braga would drop points, and we would also, bottle it and also drop points. So it was good to see that. Because I definitely had my doubts once we went 1-1. But like both of you guys have said, deserved winners from our part. We played the better game. Braga, I mean, they woke up when they went down 10 men. Fair enough for them. They scored a pretty good goal, and they were kind of chasing after that goal once they went down for 10 men. But after that 10 minutes went, Sporting started chasing the game. We started attacking more. Just a quick mention, actually, before I forget, I really enjoyed Luis Felipe's first goal. I mean, not really just for him, but I mean, as a whole, like the whole team play of it. It was really like peak Kaiser ball, I guess you can say, with us passing between the lines, and then Christovski low cross into the box, and Luis Felipe, really all he had to do was, tap it in. So, Chaves went down to 10 men in the 50th minute. Second yellow to Jefferson of Chaves. Though in the 30-something minute, when he did see his first yellow, could have easily been a straight red on Bruno Fernandes. That studs up. And then, of course, we go to actually, before we go there, Chris, I'll pass it off to you for the Chaves goal. We can sort of complain of, Coates, Renan, and Ristovski were sort of in that area. And then, of course, the Chaves attacker goes through it and scores basically on an empty net. Who would you place the blame on, if any at all, really? But who would you place the blame on that goal?
Of the people to place the blame on, it's difficult. I mean, to decide whose man it is, because the guy just kind of runs clean through. I'd say it's probably a combination of Ristovski and Coates. I'd probably say 60% Ristovski, 40% Coates. That guy, it probably should be Ristovski's man. And if he's passing him off to Coates, he obviously didn't tell him. Because, well, first off, Ristovski's behind Coates, so he's playing him on. Like, your outside back shouldn't be deeper than your center backs. That's always a recipe for disaster. So he's playing him on. He doesn't track him. He doesn't tell Coates, and then the guy just kind of runs clean through. I mean, it's tough for Renan. I mean, obviously it's a one-on-one situation. It was kind of a weird finish. I don't even think he hit the ball the way he wanted it to, but it kind of worked out. And then Ristovski's kind of overrunning it then. And the ball just kind of rolls past him because all his momentum is taking him towards the ball, and then the ball gets cut back the other way, and he can't really regain his footing to clear it off the line. So kind of a mess all around, but I'd say it's probably more Ristovski's fault than anyone else. Although I will say Coates didn't have his best game that he's had, especially passing the ball. He turned the ball over a lot. So it's kind of annoying when we're trying to build out of the back and we're losing the ball in our own half, because that kind of gives teams like Chaves life. They'd rather create chances off of turnovers in the other half than build their own. So wasn't really playing to it was playing right into their hands basically by doing that. So yeah, for sure. And I mean, off to really the talking point of the game, and I'm going to ask for both of your opinions. But Steph, I'll start with you. The controversial red card on Ristovski, when potentially it should have been a red card to the Chaves player for being Rafinha. So the first question is, should have Chaves seen a second red card on that instance with Rafinha going through? And then, of course, second, do you agree with? I did hear some mumblings of some people agreeing with the red card. Do you agree that with the red card on Ristovski, or do you think it's as ridiculous as everybody else does?
Yeah, of course I don't agree with the red card. When you look at the replay, you could see that he touches the ball first, and what is he supposed to do? He can't stop. He's in motion. He's sliding. So it's impossible, unless you played soccer in your whole life. That's when you make those kind of dumb assumptions. Oh, you could have done it like this and like that. No, I mean, just look at the way he tackled the Chaves player. He hit the ball first. It was a clean play. Because if that was a red card, how come the foul wasn't called? And then second of all, we're gonna have penalties, 20 penalties per game, every fucking weekend. So no, it was a bad call by Manuel Mota and the VAR. And it's amazing that even with the TV and replay and all the different angles, they still got it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And I did a tweet earlier because it was announced that Liga NOS, I thought they already had it, but I guess not. Liga NOS is coming out with video, with goal line technology. And I mean, jokingly, I said, let's find a way for them to fuck this one up too. But anyways, Chris, I'll give your I want your opinion on this too. What did you make of Ristovski's red card?
I mean, I don't think it's a red card.
Is it a card at all? Do you think that they were right to push the play back and that there is a foul on that Ristovski commits?
No, I don't think it's a foul. I think that he wins the ball first. I don't really even think he's going studs up because, I mean, obviously you can win the ball and still have a foul. But I think that it's not as clean as a whistle, but I mean, it's clean for sure.
Yeah.
There is contact after the ball, obviously, but I mean, it's not a foul. It's definitely not a red card, and it's probably not a foul. It's pretty amazing that he turned a straight red for Chavs into a straight red for Sporting. I mean, that's pretty amazing. So my question is if theoretically he wanted to call that a foul and not give it any card, he just said that, okay, this was a foul on Ristovski. Would the VAR even allow him to do that? Could he just rescind the red card and then give Chavs a free kick, no card at all for Ristovski? Because I think the VAR you can change you can change to see if it's a red or yellow, and then look at the VAR and then decide to give the player a yellow card. So I don't understand why he wouldn't have done that. I mean, if he's deeming it to be a foul, clearly he's deeming it to be, reckless, studs up, whatever. And I don't really see that. It's pretty amazing. I mean, I think when I saw him go to the VAR, I just thought he was checking to see if he was the last man back, the Chavs player, to see if it was a yellow or red for him. And then on the VAR on the screen, they're showing the Ristovski incident, and you're like, "Oh, okay, come on." They're gonna say it's a foul, and then call it back because there was a foul. And then he's like, "Oh, well, I already got the red card in my hand. I
might as well use it."
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Fuck.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he wins the ball. He can't stop himself mid slide to not hit the defender. And you even notice he sort of tucks his heel, like his cleats away. So it's not really going studs up. At best, his shins are taking out I don't know if he's a left or right winger, but whatever, the winger for Chavs or whoever the player was. So the fact that they took it back and then gave him the red card, I think, that's ridiculous. So, like, super ridiculous, just to take away another deserved red card. And then, of course, one of the things that pisses me off about that is just the inconsistency. Hours prior to that, on the Braga Porto game, there's a tackle even worse than that doesn't get the ball. That's a yellow card that the referee gives. Earlier in that game, Jefferson goes off his feet. He jumps, dives into Bruno Fernandes, doesn't get the contact of the ball, studs up, and he gave that a yellow. But Ristovski winning the ball. One, the VAR, I don't know where VAR was to be like, yo, this is a straight red. But two, I don't understand how VAR is bringing that back even to the Ristovski play. You know what I mean? It's shocking to me. And really, because that weekend, there was 3 big games back to back on Saturday. We've seen controversial plays coming Braga Porto. We've seen controversial calls in Chavs Sporting. We even seen controversial calls Benfica Tondela. Benfica could have possibly gotten a penalty, but at the same time they could have also they deserved the red card on that Trab tackle right towards the end. That for some reason didn't see a red. Again, I'll ask both of you. Chris, I'll start with you this time. I feel like we've mentioned it a few times, but I mean, enough is enough, right? Like, what kind of solutions can the league bring? Because it's either corrupt or a bunch of idiots, and I don't understand. I don't know which one would be worse between the two. You know what I mean? So, what possible solutions can you bring to help out the officiating?
Well, I mean, in all honesty, this Ristovski incident. This is the first. I think this is. I mean, that I've seen at least. I mean, I haven't watched every Boavista Santa Clara game, so I don't know aware
Yeah.
of another incident like this. But usually when they bring it back like this, it's to review a foul before a goal. I've never seen a red card decision being reviewed for a foul in the build-up. So I mean, it's definitely kind of setting a dangerous precedent. And yeah, I mean, I don't even know what the solution is at this point. This weekend would lead me to believe that it's a bunch of idiots, as opposed to it being corrupt. Even though I do think it's a combination of both on a macro level, but on a micro level of this weekend, I definitely just think they're a bunch of idiots. Because I mean, yeah, I'd say out of the big three, I think Porto probably benefited the most, because I think that first PK is a bit of a phantom PK.
Me too.
And Benfica also didn't really benefit from the officiating at all. Sporting certainly didn't benefit from the officiating. So, I mean, I think it just has been bouncing back and forth recently, who's getting the calls and who's not getting the calls. And it'd be interesting if you could, break down like the controversial decisions that each team's gotten it over the season to see who's benefited the most. I know people like to point to, Sporting has 12 PKs. I mean, I'd say probably 9 of them are actual PKs. Maybe 3 of them are more questionable, but it's not like just the existence of PKs doesn't mean you're getting the refs benefit.
Exactly,
It just so it's a complicated issue.
Yeah, agreed. And Steph, I'll pass it off to you. Do you have any solutions to help out the referees in Portugal?
No, I don't think there's a solution at all, unless you demote all of them, and then they call me and you and Chris, and then we'll replace them. I have no fucking clue. It's they just poorly trained. You could see. I don't think this year is corruption, because there's so much under the microscope going on. I mean, you're talking about Itupeda, emails, vouchers, cash ball. There's too many investigations going on to think it's corruption. Me personally, I think it's a bunch of idiots, really. Poorly trained. The VAR is a new thing. I'll give them that much. It's a new concept. Uh, but Manuel Motas in that play, he looked like a fucking police sinaleiro in the intersection. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? I thought he was like controlling traffic. He kept on going this way, that way, that way. I was getting dizzy by looking at him. So the solution will be whoever referees are up and coming, train them properly. So if the best referees, if the best training is in, for example, in England, train them in England. But don't let them be trained by Portuguese referees or Portuguese instructors, or I don't know who's training them, because they suck. Because all of our referees suck. Name me one referee that you could say without any doubt this guy is pretty good. Maybe Artur Soares, maybe.
And even still,
you know what I mean? Souza, talvez, maybe. So.
Sorry, my dog. He's crazy, bro.
No, I thought
Simba,
it was you.
Bro. Relax, man.
I thought it was you barking, bro. But no Sporting160, I always hear a dog too. I don't know if it's Zé or João.
You know what? If it's Zé, it makes all the sense, because Zé also always loses connection. I always lose connection. If the dog noises comes from him, my dog noises comes from me, bro. Me and Zé are just, separated by birth,
But to wrap it up, I think what the Portuguese league has to do is do a really good research and say, listen, the best training being given with the VAR and is in this country. So let's train our up and coming referees, or let's bring those instructors into our country, do a little academy, and train our people properly, the up and coming referees, and these ones too. Of course, they have to. I think it's a lack of training.
Yeah.
It's too many inconsistencies because they should be going back to, like you said, to the Braga Porto game, which Porto won, but that was a big favor to them. Those penalty kicks, I'll say both, they're very, very soft. And go back to the Benfica Tondela game, going back to Boa Vista Santa Clara game, and then compare those games and look at those plays and say, listen, this play was similar to this one. How come you showed a yellow and how come you showed a red card? We have to be all on the same page. I don't know how many times a week or a month they get together, the referees, to compare all that. I don't know if they do it at all, but they should. They should. And but our referees, that's why them in the Champions League, and we just suck. That's all.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. And I mean, to sort of answer my own question, I only see two solutions, and even still, I'm not too sure how well these solutions will be. One is either foreign referees, like we've seen in England just this week or last week. They sort of went to go grab one of the better referees in the Australian League, in the A League, and he's currently going to be managing at the Championship. And if all goes well, he'll make a way up to the Premier League. So I think if we're really ambitious and really, at the very minimum, to put some sort of fear of God into these Portuguese referees, because if they're not refereeing in Portugal, they're not refereeing elsewhere, right? So even if it's just a slight threat, and just, bring over one, maybe a Polish referee or basically of a country with an inferior league, and sort of poach their one of their better referees, see where that goes. And then, or not, we have to just start finding these referees, because it's not even it's not even a Sporting thing. It's really a Portuguese league thing, because it's games against Braga or for Braga, they get helped or they get screwed over. Guimarães gets helped or screwed over. Setúbal, Belenenses. So it's really been a league thing. When I mentioned corruption, I was just sort of saying it as a joke, but yeah. Anyways, Mike here on the chat also says to wear mics. I would also like that too, to hear what they're saying. But anyways, back towards the game. So this isn't just a referee thing. Really, my last question will be, who's your man of the match? And Chris, I'll start off with you. Who did you think was the best performer against Schaps?
I think we need to pretty much add a little asterisk to this these days. Just otherwise, it'd be the same player.
Oh, true. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Man of the match, either than Bruno Fernandes. That's a great point.
So I think that it's probably Luis Felipe and Wendell. I thought Wendell had a really good game, particularly in the first half. And I thought Luis Felipe played well. Obviously, scored 2 goals. Put his name on the score sheet for Sporting for the first time, and I thought his movement was well. I mean, he gives something Bas doesn't. He's not the most technical player either, but I mean, I think his movement is probably better. I mean, Bas is just basically you got to cross the ball into him, and I mean, Bas finishing hasn't even been good recently. So overall, I think Felipe is probably not as good of a finisher, but I mean, in the current form that they're in, they're probably about the same. And Felipe he runs around more, better movement. So yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed him the last 2 games relatively.
Yeah, fair. And Steph, what about you?
Yeah, to me, I liked Acuna. He's just phenomenal. I mean, the way he runs up and down that left wing, it's unbelievable. And also, of course, Bruno Fernandes was amazing. He's the motor da equipa. He's the engine. And him and Wendell now they complement each other quite well. So, and Luis Felipe, yeah, of course. The first 2 goals he scored with Sporting, big weight off his shoulders. You could see the sign of relief when he scored his first goal. He was celebrating in a unique way.
Yeah.
And I agree with Chris. Luis Felipe is more mobile than Bas Dost. He controls the ball better. Um, he dribbles better as well. And it was just a question of confidence. And I think he regained it back. And he could be a very important player for this season still. We still have 8 games left. So I'm counting the Final da Taça de Portugal on the 25th of May. And the 7 games left in the Champions League, in the championship, Portuguese championship.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be a very important player. And these 2 goals he scores against Chaves will be a very important motivation factor for him for the remaining of the season. So, yeah, and that's it.
Yeah, fair. And I'll give it also to Luis Felipe. You guys have said it all. And especially his second goal was well taken. He still had a lot to do. He still had to make that run. I've seen players miss from that angle too. So it's not like you have a big, space to shoot at that angle. So,
or not miss from that angle or fall for a PK. And
true. Yeah, very true. He stayed strong. Good point.
Yeah, he felt the contact, and he decided, no, if we're going that, and I'm gonna, go for the goal. And I like that because sometimes the referees don't call those kind of PKs. So I like that very much.
Yeah, I did too. So we'll get straight into the Benfica game now. Similar lineup, just one change, which was Bruno Gaspar for the suspended Ristovski. Everything else stayed the same. Luis Felipe up top, Wendell, Bruno Fernandes, Goudelli in the middle, Rafinha going on the wings, Borja, Mathieu, Coates, of course, like I mentioned, Bruno Gaspar and Ribeiro in net. Chris, I'll pass it off to you. What did you think of the game, bro?
I was very pleasantly surprised the way that Sporting came out. They came out hot right out of the gate. They were playing aggressively. They had some shots. None of them were really great chances at first, but it was a promising sign that they were at least creating chances. Benfica really wasn't doing anything. And then Benfica kind of slowly started to grow into the game. But I think overall, their main threat was off the break. Sporting was kind of left exposed a couple times, and thankfully Benfica weren't ever able to capitalize on that. But I definitely think that we were much better in the first half. And then in the second half, we once again came out controlling the chances and the game in the first like 20 minutes of the second half. And then Benfica had 1 or 2 chances as well. They weren't completely terrible today, but I definitely think that we were better. And then right around the 75th minute, we had just before we scored, Kaiser kind of threw the kitchen sink at them, put Ilori in to go 3 at the back, and then we immediately score right after that with that great Bruno Fernandes goal.
Yeah.
So then we kind of had to improvise to shore up the back line, and Ilori ends up playing like right back, which is definitely not an ideal situation ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of predictable that we were gonna obviously kind of pack it in. Benfica really didn't. They had that one chance right at the end, like 85th minute. But it never really felt like they were. They were obviously closer than Chaves ever was at the weekend. And it seems like their main threats and their opportunities were kind of squandered because they had a couple chances off the break where they were like 4-on-3 or 3-on-2, and there was an open man on the opposite side if they could have just gotten it to him, but they never did. Some shoddy officiating again, just pretty overall bad. I don't really think he benefited either team. He was just inconsistent and bad. Bruno Fernandes just got hacked every time he got the ball. A very inconsistent use of his yellow cards. The yellow card for Goudelli in the first half was so bad. Didn't really alter the game at all, but it was just bad. I mean, we had a couple. I mean, if you just look at it, like the players that they had that played well, I mean, there really weren't any. No one stood out to me on Benfica. I mean, PZ had an okay game.
I think Seferovic too. He was probably their better player.
Yeah. Jardel also played. Their central backs, Diaz and Jardel, are all right. But I mean, I thought we had a bunch of players that played pretty well. Or at least like above their average. I thought Goudelli was above his average. Bruno Gaspar above his average. Renan Ribeiro was decent. Rafinha was a bit frustrating, but I mean, I'd say it was about average performance for him. He was a bit not non-clinical was probably the way I would describe him. He was putting himself in the right areas, but he just wasn't capitalizing on anything. But yeah, I mean, it just felt really good to get this result. That Bruno Fernandes goal was fantastic. Obviously, it had to be him. Svilar never had a chance. I was frustrated we weren't putting more shots on target because that guy is just a frango waiting to happen. So definitely didn't fully take advantage of that, but I'm just really happy that we're in the final again. And I saw a tweet in Jorge Jesus's 3 years, he got to the cup final and won a Taça da Liga, and Kaiser's done that in 6 months. So I mean, just kind of interesting.
It's a good point. That is a really good point. Steph, throw it off to you, bro. What did you think of the game?
Great game by Sporting. Very consistent this time, even though a couple of plays that Benfica got us on the counter-attack mode could have been avoided big time. Seferovic wasn't his day today because I remember one play clearly, a great pass from Pizzi, which he beat Coates and Mathieu. Coates kind of cut his angle, made it more difficult for him, and then he missed the goal against René. But he was all by himself inside the box. That scared me a little bit. Then I got another play, great play by Seferovic again, a header, which he missed just by a few inches. But I think René had it under control because he was covering the post. And then João Felix had another great play as well, which he could have scored, but he was off sync today, which is good. I'm not complaining. But overall, it was a good performance by Sporting. We just have to be more conscientious about losing the ball in the midfield. That's so dangerous when we lose the ball in midfield. But besides that, even Bruno Gaspar he had a solid performance. I'm not gonna say in a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give him a 7, but a very solid performance by Bruno Gaspar. I think feeling the pressure from the fan base. I'm pretty sure he reads the newspapers. He hears what people say. I'm pretty sure that made him play much better. Again, great performance by Wendell. I think he was amazing today. Just the way he carries the ball and he stops and he goes to the left, goes to the right to throw off the opponents. Just amazing. It's amazing to watch him play. Bruno Fernandes, I don't even know what to say about that fucking guy anymore. He's just great. Acuna again. I mean, that guy from the first minute until the last minute, he still runs the same way, the same speed, the same consistency. He's just an amazing. So overall the team was amazing. Everyone played well. To beat Benfica that's playing well like this, you need a good team, and we proved to everybody that when we play at all the cylinders, we can beat the best. And today that's what we did, and now we're in the final in Jamor on the 25th of May.
Yeah, man, agreed. And just quickly on Wendell, I think Wendell's like the most underrated player on our team. I think he really goes underappreciated. Pai, queres dizer alguma coisa? Ok, depois falamos. Anyway, sorry, I thought my dad wanted to say something about Sporting, but yeah, man, like the team played with some. Os meus amigos aqui são da América.
Eles já disseram alguma coisa a respeito do vermelho do
Ristowski, já falamos sobre isso, já. Sorry about this, guys.
Go, talk.
Não mereceu o vermelho, está a dizer, meu amigo.
Claro que não mereceu.
Yeah.
Mas também não foi preciso o gajo lá para fazer uma equipa.
Foi não, ganhamos na mesma.
Oh, you speak Portuguese?
Então, claro, pai.
Então, claro que sim.
Opa, eu não sabia.
Fala.
Opa, nós comemos aqueles encarnados vivos mesmo. Eles dizem que comemos vivos, mas a gente também come. Olha, digo-te uma coisa. Posso fazer uma pergunta? É sportinguista?
Somos todos sportinguistas, pai. Isto é uma
Ok, pronto. Tens uma caneta e um lápis aí? Não.
Tenho eu.
Ok. A palavra não. Ou coisa. Sporting e Sporting é Sporting e Sport Lisboa Benfica é SLB.
Ok.
SLB. Sport Lisboa Benfica. E depois temos Sporting. É assim. SLB quer dizer depois de Sport Lisboa Benfica quer dizer assim, somos leiloados brevemente. Está-te a rir. E agora, Sporting, ok? Sporting, tem muitas letras, ok? Tem muitas letras. E então quer dizer assim, Sporting quer dizer só, vê lá as letras tem, só paneleiros ou rabichos têm interesse neste grupo.
Ok, já falaste demais. Ok. Sorry about that. Ok. Eu pensava que isto é um programa do Sporting, deixa fazer pouco do Benfica, não é do Sporting.
Somos leiloados.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Where were we? Right. He has been. Yeah, man. I think Sporting played with some passion finally. You know, I've been waiting for this for like a few months now. You know, I've been waiting for a performance like this for, you know, concentration level to constantly be high. It's just, you know, I think another big thing that came about it was, you know, Luis Felipe closing down the spaces up top, forcing Benfica to keep up with these long balls. I mean, he didn't do much today, aside from that, maybe that one shot that sort of tested Svilar. But yeah, he at least did what Dost doesn't do in these big games, which is chase after the ball, pressure, put pressure on the defenders, force a mistake out of them, which we did a few times, especially in the first half.
And that's a big thing. That's
huge.
That's
huge.
Because it keeps Benfica in the back, and they have to make a couple extra passes to go up front.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I really like that, you know. So yeah, I mean, it sort of brings to my point on Bas Dost and why he sort of frustrates me. Not to really kick Bas Dost when he's down, but you know, at least do these bare minimums. At least fight for every ball in these big games. We can't have one player missing. We can't have one player jogging, and that's one thing we didn't see today. Again, Bruno Fernandes, he's amazing. I didn't see Bruno Fernandes stop once. I mean, we hardly ever do, but I didn't see Rafinha stop once. I didn't see Borja stop once. Coates had a shaky game, but even still, like he fought for the shirt. Could have seen a yellow, definitely could have seen a yellow, but he fought for the shirt. Bruno Gaspar, even, you know, for all the things that we talked about him, like Steph mentioned, he had a good game. He played the ball. He played the ball well. He defended well. He saved Coates' ass once. I believe it was in the first half. I can't remember if it's first or it was definitely in the first half. You know, Goudelli had a decent game as well. Me and Chris were talking about it just before going on air. You know, Goudelli had a decent game. You know, played the ball well. Seen a stupid, like we mentioned, seen a stupid yellow. He won the ball. I don't understand what the yellow was for. And then, you know, another thing that, again, sort of to harp off back on referees, you know, Goudelli seen a stupid yellow, but then Pizzi with a tackle from behind studs up, doesn't see a yellow at all. It would have been great if Bruno Fernandes scored that free kick as well off the bar. A bit of a shame, but it is what it is. And I mean, guys, what do you think? Deserved winners, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, man. And man, I really don't have any. Yeah, Steph, take it away. I don't really have any questions on this.
No, man. Without any doubt, man. I mean, Bruno Fernandes, I forgot about it. That very kick off the crossbar. Aquilo ia lá dentro. O Civilar, he's not that good of a goalkeeper. Even Benfiquistas know that. The most reasonable Benfiquistas will admit it, that he's not that good. So all we had to do is you know, take a few shots, you know, off the box, which we did. Bruno Fernandes had a field day today, and he would have fucked up, which I don't think the goal is his fault. I think it's a great goal anyway. I blame more Grimaldo than Steve Lahr. But, you know, Sporting deserved to win. It was a good game by Sporting. They did what they were supposed to do, which was to win 1-0 with one goal away, would put us in the final. Congrats to our Sporting. And we are in the final in Jamor. But that's it. You know, now I want to win the cup on the 25th. That's what I want. You know, today's victory was great, but if we don't win the cup, it means nothing.
Yeah. So we have our good friend here, Mike Ramon, on the chat. What do you guys think of the goal? Do you think Civilar, you know, it is near post. I mean, I've mentioned millions of times on this podcast how much I hate a near post finish. Do you think it's a frango on his end, or do you just think Bruno Fernandes did well there? Chris, I'll pass it off to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be the first one to shit on Civilar for allowing a goal that he probably shouldn't have. But I mean, this probably isn't one of them. I mean, maybe he could have done better, and maybe Vlaco Dimos gets a fingertip on that and puts it onto the bar or something. But I mean, that's a hell of a left-footed finish from Bruno Fernandes. I mean, it's not a great look for Civilar, but I mean, it was a great finish. I mean, he's dove full out and not gotten there. So I mean, I'm not really sure what else he could have done except like be taller.
Yeah. And Steph, what did you think of? I mean, of course, it came a bit before the goal. I mean, it sort of, we made that substitution, and then like 3-4 minutes later, we ended up scoring. But what did you think about Kaiser's initiative by subbing in Ilori, sort of playing him at right back, playing him as a third midfielder, and then subbing in? I mean, I think we'd all agree that we prefer Jovan, but he threw in Diaby, sort of changed the formation, really go at them. What did you think of Kaiser's performance today, or Kaiser's tactics, I should say?
I loved it because he didn't wait for eternity until he has only 5 minutes left. He did something way in advance because he knew that we need to score a goal if we want to go to the final, to Jamor. and he reacted quite well, and I loved it because you got to go for the win. Make it possible to win the game, and that's what he did. Like Chris said, he threw the sink, and it worked out. And I like that. I like ballsy moves like that. Not waiting until specifically at the 75th minute to make subs. It's like automatic. I love surprises. Like at the 60th minute, fuck it. I'm just gonna do it now because we need to win the game. I like that. And he showed me that when he's a coach that he acts upon instincts, he could actually be the coach that we saw him first in the first 7 games when he came into Sporting. I want that. I don't want automatic substitutions. I don't want the same tactics all the time. Benfica got caught by surprise when he populated the midfield so much. We were playing with three center backs, and the midfield we had like 3-5-2. So it was an excellent tactic for that specific time frame, and it paid off. Don't forget that Bruno Fernandes, before he dribbled Grimaldo and scored the goal, the Benfica lost the ball twice. And why? Because of the tactic we had in place. Because we had so many people in midfield gaining the ball, the second balls, and they gave Bruno Fernandes a chance to score the goal. And that's what we have to look at as fans. Why did we win the ball twice? Because our midfield was so populated, and that's why we gave Bruno Fernandes that great chance after a third try. And congrats to Kaiser pulling off that move, and I just hope he does it more and more. We why use the same tactic for 90 minutes if you can be like a chameleon and switch tactics in the middle of the game because you have to, because of the circumstances of the game, then do it. And we have more time in our hands. The players are well vested. It's only one game exception for this week, 1 game per week, and I think now it's paying dividends, and that's all.
Yeah, agreed. And yeah, really, I don't really have much else to say. Unless you guys have anything else to say, I'll just throw it off to Chris real quick. Who's your man of the match today? Again, another asterisk, barring Fernandes. If Bruno Fernandes is your man of the match, to be fair, I mean, he had a great game, to be fair. So
he probably was. But a guy who I think he was probably what made me most nervous, especially with Ristovski being out. But I thought Bruno Gaspar did his part, did more than I would have ever expected. I mean, I would have accepted him just playing not catastrophic, but I actually thought he played pretty well. So I mean, I'll definitely take that performance from him, especially in a huge game like this. He rose to the occasion, and I was pleasantly surprised by that. So I'll give it to him, even though he was subbed out, kind of sacrifice of the tactics. But I mean, it wasn't through his own fault or through his own play.
Yeah, fair. And Steph, what about you, man?
I'm gonna go with Acuna, even though I liked Wendell's performance again. He played a great game. Pausing the game, being a maestro at the midfield. Because don't forget that Bruno Fernandes is allowed to be up more because of Wendell. He gives him the liberty. Him and Gudelj. Let's not forget Gudelj. He also had a very consistent game today. I like Mathieu. He was very consistent too, especially when you play on a 3-5-2. You have to be very precise with your passing game. If you make those mistakes, the counter attack is just 1 second away. And we made a couple of those mistakes, and we almost, we suffered the consequences, but luckily we didn't. But Acuna was good, very good. It's exhausting watching him running that left corridor and never gets tired. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. He amazes me how fit he is. Gudelj, I liked him too. Mathieu and Wendell, definitely those players. And I like the fact that Luis Felipe, he pressured really high. The defenders not letting them come out easily, comfortably. He pressured them all the time, which I like that in a striker. He reminds me of Slimani in that aspect of the game, pressuring the defense, never giving them a break. And against a Benfica or Porto, a top-notch team, that's what you need to do. Pressure that defense, make them make mistakes, and and that's all.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, my man of the match would be Bruno Fernandes. You really took the words right out of my mouth. I also like the Cunha. I also like Borja today. I thought Borja played well. Mathieu played really well. I enjoyed Mathieu going forward as well. Guys, give me just 2 seconds. Just take it away from here and keep talking about the game. Cool, guys? Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
What really amazed me about Acuna's performance today was just like he literally seemed like he would have run through a brick wall if Kaiser asked him to. He was a complete maniac. I mean, he was ready to fight the ref too. At one point, he got in the ref's face. I mean, he's a bit fortunate. I mean, on another game, maybe he gets sent off for that. But I mean, he was ready to die on that field today, and I really appreciated the effort that he gave.
Yeah, definitely. So to wrap up the podcast for today, I'll go talk about the modalidades.
Okay.
Yeah. So the handball team, we lost away against the Hungarian team, 35-29. But what a performance! We reached the oitavos finais, round of 16th, the first time ever from a Portuguese team. So kudos to our handball team.
The first leg of that game was frustrating.
Yeah.
We had a 3-goal lead at one point, ended up squandering it. It felt like we could have done more, especially at home, because you have to go there for the second leg. So I mean, it's a great achievement to reach that far. And the hockey plays there. Do they play their Champions League game this week? Chip?
Yeah. They will play tomorrow, Saturday.
Tomorrow, okay.
Yeah, against Lodi of Italy. So we won away. So at home we could tie it and still go through the Final Four, which will be in Barcelona. So as well, but the hockey team played against OK Barcelos, and we won 5-3. The youth, we won juniors 4-1. Juvenis, we lost 1-0 against Braga. Iniciados, we won 6-0 against Académica. Our ladies, they won against Benfica, the first derby ever of the females' history, which was for a good cause, for Mozambique. They raised close to 50,000 euros. So we won 1-0. A goal scored by a PK from a Marchão. So volleyball, we reached the final, which will be played against Benfica. And that's all I have. Hey, Danny, that's it, buddy.
Oh, you missed, Steph. You missed the best one.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yeah. No, I left it for Danny because you wanted to
Fair enough.
About futsal, of course.
Yeah, we won the Taça de Portugal in the weekend against Benfica in penalties. I believe it was 3-2 over penalties. 6-6 was the score line, I believe. 5-5. Sorry, 5-5. Yeah, and then we won 3-2 in penalties. Big save from our keeper, and then calmly finishes it. Puts the nail in the coffin after with that penalty. Man, it was a great game. It was a great weekend, or at least in that aspect, it was a great weekend for us. Of course, But anyways, I'll go off to Twitter since thanks, Steph, for taking over the modalities. We didn't have too many questions this week. Sorry, let me just pull it up here.
Don't forget about goal ball. Goal ball, we were
sorry,
European champs.
Oh, right, male and female. Male and
Males
female.
females.
Yeah. That wasn't on last podcast? When was that? Last weekend?
Yes.
Oh, okay. My bad then. Yeah, we were also champions. Goal ball, yeah, female and male. Big win for a bit. It was big for Sporting, to be fair. If I'm not mistaken, that was the first time. Is it the first time in our history, or
no?
Or
for first time for the females.
Oh, it's for the females then. Okay, my bad then. All right, let me go off to the questions. First is from Chip from Lauren. She was in the chat earlier. I think she's probably gone to bed because it's like 3 a.m. in the UK. She asks, after winning Taça da Liga, if we were to finish third and win the Taça Portugal, how successful would you rate the season? So I'll give it to both of you, but I'll start off with you, Chris. What do you think?
I mean, it definitely seems better now than it did like a month ago. That's not a bad. I mean, that's not even a bad season, really. Arguably in a vacuum, but when you consider everything that has happened this season, everything that happened in the lead up to this season, all the turmoil. I mean, our transfer window, everything. It definitely seems like it wouldn't be so bad, and I would argue that it's actually overachieving.
Fair. And how about you, Steph?
Yeah, I think if we do win the Taça Portugal, it'll be a successful season. We already won the Taça da Liga. After everything that happened with the attack of in the academy, the way our last president was kicked out of the club, we had one coach that lasted 2 weeks. Like Chris said, all the turmoil. We finally, I think the preseason was the whole first round, the first Primeira Volta do Campeonato Nacional, and finally now we're playing as a team. The players actually know each other much better. They know the coaching staff. People kind of forget that Kaiser came midway into the season, so he didn't know the players. The players didn't know him. All of a sudden, we lost Nani, then we lost Montero, and then he had to readjust the whole team. And finally now we could see the chemistry kicking in and we could see Sporting playing like a team. Even if Bastos doesn't come back, I'm feeling more comfortable with Luis Felipe now. But of course, I want Bastos nice and healthy and coming back. But to answer the question, yeah, I think if we win the Taça Portugal and if we finish third, which I hope we can finish second or even still become champions of Portugal, which I know it's very difficult. But I'm very optimistic. Then
my question is, what if we lose the Taça Portugal? Would you still call it a successful season, just being finalists? And then third,
No.
we're assuming we keep third.
No,
No?
because because we should have won last year and we didn't. If we miss it for the second time, then it'll be too hard to swallow it,
Yeah.
to digest it.
Yeah. Fair. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I think that there's added pressure to win this year because of last year. And obviously last year's final was, I mean, that was just a week after the attack. It was like the most predictable game that we were going to obviously lose that game. But nonetheless, I mean, it was still against Avs, and I mean, we should have won. But I mean, just as a side note, about Luis Felipe, I don't know if you guys noticed today, but there was 2 different occasions that Renan Ribeiro literally not even drop kicked it on a line, literally punted the ball straight up in the air, and Luis Felipe with Ruben Diaz on his back controlled the ball perfectly both times. And I mean that is really, really difficult to do that. I don't know. And he did it twice, and I was just amazed. I thought he was going to try to flick the ball on. He controlled it, perfect smother touch both times. I was like, holy shit, man.
It's already making up for that money, bro. That money we wasted. All right, next question comes from our buddy all the way in Jordan, Abdallah Armoti. I hope I pronounced that right. At Amarty92 on Twitter. He has 3 questions. First question, I'll pass this one off to you, Steph. Do you think this match will be a reference for future Benfica matches?
What do you mean?
Yeah, I guess will we take this sort of our game plan and bring it forward, and either to smaller games or even to bigger games against Porto? I guess because our next we face Porto now twice. I guess back-to-back games, one in the end of the season. Do you think that this Benfica game will be a sort of reference point to really have the team? This is the bare minimum that the team gives basically from here on out.
Well, each game is a different setting. In this game, Benfica came more. The way they will play the game is to tie the game. They didn't play to win the game, and I think, and to me, them being less aggressive, playing the counterattack, it was wrong by Bruno Lage. If I was Benfica, I would say no. Let's play to win the game. But I think Bruno Lage was already thinking about the weekend game. And that's good, because this game was more important to Sporting. We had more to lose than to gain than Benfica. Because I don't know if you saw the flash interview, Bruno Lage right away said, hey, the Portuguese Cup is a beautiful trophy, but the most important one, the dream we have, is the Portuguese Championship. So minimizing the competition, the Taça de Portugal. But yeah, it could be used as a reference if our opponents played the same way as Benfica played today in a counter mode way. Then yeah, we can use it as a reference, and then you don't.
Yeah, for sure. So long as we catch him on a good time, we'll hopefully bring Abdallah to the podcast soon. His second question, Chris, I'll pass it off to you, and it's actually perfectly timed. How much do you rate Luis Felipe?
I definitely think he shouldn't be the starter. We should be able to do better than that. But I am starting to come around a little bit these past 2 games. He's played pretty well. So I do think that he's worth keeping around. Relatively speaking, he only cost €500,000. I mean, that's not cheap, but it's also not expensive, especially for a depth option. I can't imagine his salary is too high. And I mean, that's the kind of player that you kind of want to have as a third option, probably. I mean, if you compare him to what we've had in the past, players like Castanhos or Barco, I think that he's a better option than any of them. So he's definitely worth keeping around, but I don't think that we should be leaning on him to be our main striker by any means.
Yeah, agreed. And last question I'll give to both of you. Steph, I'll start off with you first. Should Kaiser stay for the next season?
Yes.
Agreed. And how about you, Chris?
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't at this point. I think if he wins the Taça de Portugal, unquestionably. He did have a run of form there. Basically, the reason we're not in the title race right now is because of the month of January. and that was kind of rough, especially after starting so well. But they've kind of come around recently. We did get drubbed 4-2 by Benfica. That was an all-around horrible game. But I think he probably made up for it today with his game plan.
Yeah, I agree, and I think he should stay on for at least the beginning of the season or for the next season. He even you bring a good point on the month of January. He mentioned it on the interview he had with Sporting TV that his biggest surprise was how tough the months of January are. He mentioned winter break. I don't think the Eredivisie has a winter break. I could be wrong. It might be like a week or two, like the Bundesliga, and not like the Russian league. But yeah, I think this is sort of a good baptism of fire for him to come in to sort of learn the league. Because I mean, we can't ignore the promising start he had. It sort of fiddled away, but even now, when we're not playing the greatest, we're still sort of getting the results like we did against Shabs, and then of course today, I think boosted his stock up a lot more. It's just, I think it's just the biggest problem with Kaiser. I think we all agree here is his inability to rotate the side well enough, or his inability to really read players. Like the fact that Gudeli's been starting constantly. I mean, credit to Gudeli, he had a decent game today, but even when Doumbia came in, I was more relaxed and more confident we wouldn't suffer that 1-1 towards the end. Doumbia against was it Stubal when he came in a few weeks back? He looked like the CDM that we need, and Gudeli he just doesn't look like the CDM. So to me, I think that's Kaiser's biggest issue with us. And I think if he can fix it and really rotate the side next year, really bleed in some youth prospects like he was sort of advertised as being able to do or wanting to do, I think he has the capability of being successful here, at least, you know. Sorry for that ramble, guys. Yeah, that's really it. Unless you guys have anything else more to add or to say.
Just the predictions.
Claro. Já estou a perder a cabeça, man. It's on Sunday. We play Rio Ave at home. Tough game, though. Rio Ave is coming from a loss against Desportivo das Chaves, I believe, 2-0. Yeah. Rio Ave sort of having a decent start to the season, sort of faltering away now. They're in what, 9th now? Wow. 3 points behind Santa Clara, tied in points with Portimonense. Steph, I'll start off with you, man. What are your predictions of the game? What do you see coming from this game?
I think we'll win 3-0. We on the high wave, full of confidence, especially with today's win. So we accomplished 2 of our goals, which was final the Taça da Liga, which we won against Porto, and we reached the final the Taça Portugal, and hopefully we'll win again. So now we have nothing to lose. The 7 remaining games of the Liga NOS, we can basically play with no pressure, really. I mean, no one is expecting us to win the title, so we could sneak in and maybe pull a surprise. And I forgot to mention, by reaching the final of Taça Portugal, we basically guaranteed the group phase of Liga Europa. So we won't have to play any playoffs, which is very important because we'll have a better preseason.
Yeah, we'll have more time to train for sure. That's a great point. I forgot to mention that too. Yeah, and especially if Porto come in first. Not that I care. To me, it's for whoever wins. But if Porto comes in first, it's even better for us because they're automatically qualified for the Champions League. So, actually, wait, never mind. Yeah, you're right. Never mind. It doesn't even make a difference. Sorry, never mind. Yeah, it doesn't make a difference. First or second for them, right?
Yeah, it makes no difference because the first one will go to the Champions League, second one playoff.
And even if they lose that playoff, they make it to Europa League right away, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, never mind. No?
The second place doesn't go into the playoff. They go into the third qualifying round. If you remember, Benfica had to play 2 games.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah. When I said playoff, I meant,
Yeah.
They gotta play extra games before the group stage.
Yeah. So they would have 2 rounds to play.
Yeah.
And then if they were to lose that first, tie, they would go into the Europa League playoff then.
Playoff, exactly. You're correct.
But so that won't affect us at all? Whether at all? No. Okay, super.
A taça de Portugal was decided by the Liga Nós, and after the sound that whoever wins it will go straight to the group stage. It's kind of an award, an accomplishment.
Sure. Yeah. All right, that's sick then. Perfect for us then, for sure.
It's good for Moreirense too.
Oh, true. Yeah, that opens up a spot for them. That's a great point.
Yes.
That is a great point.
The 5th spot will matter. Yeah.
Hopefully they don't forget registration like Avs did last season. You know.
Well, no, I don't think Avs kind of forgot, but at the same time they
weren't expecting it.
The costs of the trips and the hotels and all that shit. It's expensive.
And to upgrade the stadium, I think. Something.
Yes. Yeah. That's it as well. Yep.
Yeah, good point. Chris, I'll throw it off to you. Who do you have? What do you think?
Obviously we're riding the highest that we've been in a while now. And Rio Aves obviously had a disappointing season, as mentioned. I think that we should be able to keep rolling, but also it's very possible it could be a classic let up game or a trap game.
True.
But I do think we get the job done 2-1. A bit sofrido, but we're playing at home. We've typically played pretty well at home, so it's tough to bet against Sporting in this game.
Yeah, and Steph, you said 3-0, correct?
Yes.
All right, I'll go in the middle. I'll go with a 3-1 because we can clearly keep a clean sheet against the big teams, but not against the small teams, you know. Actually, and a special mention to I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name right now, Garrick Phillip, who says 4-1, a goal from Bruno, Felipe, Wendell, and Rafinha, with Coentrão scoring for Rio Ave, which would be sick. I'd like that. A nice Coentrão send-off at Avelade. Anyways, unless anybody else wants to mention anything else, that is the end of our podcast number 40. It was a pleasure, guys. Sorry about my dad rambling a bit. I thought he was going to say something funny or cool, and instead of that joke, I wasn't expecting that. I don't know where he was going with that. Anyways, boys, a pleasure. Guys, everybody on the chat, Lauren, Johnny, Garrick, our Lampion friend, I'm kidding, our Benfiquista friend, Michael, thank you for joining us. Lauren, of course, who's still up. I was actually wrong about that. Shout out to you, Lauren. Capado as well. And am I missing anybody else? And no, that's it, guys. Thank you very much. Oh, and of course, our Aussie Tuga, José Costa, who was on earlier. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for interacting with us on Twitter. We really appreciate it. Until next time, guys. Ciao. Viva Sporting.
Viva.